Hi, friends. My name is Bethany Benz Whittington. I am a PCUSA pastor and teacher, and this is a current events series where we discuss things that are happening. So, I really love applying biblical theological concepts to the things happening in our world. So, it's kind of like a mini sermon, but I will say things that your pastor probably won't, and then there's discussion, hopefully good discussion. So today is September the 27th, 2023, and we are talking about food insecurity. We're talking about hunger. A few weeks ago, we talked about the government shutdown and its effect on government workers. What we didn't talk about was the other far reaching consequences, including hungry kids who rely on government assistance to eat. So that's this week. We'll do less government shutdown, but more hungry kids, political will, things like that. So we will do that in just a moment, but first, I want you to pause, read together Matthew 25:31 through 46, and then come back and we will discuss. Okay, Matthew 25, right? My denomination, the PCUSA, has this huge initiative happening right now, and it's centered around these verses in the 25th chapter of Matthew. And all I can ever think of is that scene in Godspell, the movie, when one of the goats says, "Big boy, if we'd have known it was you, we'd have taken you around the corner for a cup of coffee." And legitimately, I crack up every single time I hear this passage. And maybe Jesus didn't mean for us to be laughing, and maybe Godspell was a tiny bit irreverent, and maybe I am a heathen heretic. Maybe it's all of those things. But I also think that Godspell does a really great job of getting across a point that Jesus is making. And I remember this lesson all the way from when I was a kid, because Jesus turns to that goat and says, "Whatever you didn't do for anyone in need, you didn't do for me." Woof, right? This goat is stunned, like, wait, literally everyone who is hungry or thirsty or homeless or naked or in prison is Jesus? Is you Jesus? So there's a lot of staring that ensues and the awkward silence of recognition, right? They are the goats for the very first time seeing themselves. They are seeing the people that they have stepped over or around, the people that they said get a job to. I was driving through town the other day when I noticed the bumper sticker on the car in front of me. It said, "If you can't feed 'em, don't breed 'em." And I just wonder what kind of person you have to be to think like that. What had to have happened to you? And not surprisingly, they also had a cross sticker. And this is the crux of the issue. It's one thing to lack compassion or be a narcissist or only be out for yourself, only have this bootstrap mentality. It's another thing entirely to proclaim to be a follower of Jesus, Jesus who said, "Feed people, clothe people, give them water, go visit them in prison, give them a place to sleep." It is one thing to believe none of that. It is another thing to believe all of that and to still say, "If you can't feed them, don't breed them." These things are not consistent with each other. And I'm concerned about this for a lot of reasons. The church that my husband serves has a free little pantry on their property that is constantly in need of refilling, like daily. And these free little pantries exist all over town with the same results. I see people in our local Speak Out group on Facebook asking for food assistance all the time. Now, Republicans in Washington want to cut funding for food subsidies as part of the budget package, the continuing resolution they want to get through. States across the country are cutting SNAP benefits and free school lunches. Free school lunches. I remember one time at school not having brought lunch money or lunch. And so I didn't eat that day. And the level of embarrassment that I felt is still in me somewhere. The lies I told to cover up my own shame just of forgetting. I wasn't even unable, I just forgot. So I can't even imagine what it's like for the kids, the children whose families are unable to provide them lunch. And I'm not even going to moralize and say their parents probably work hard for low wages. Or maybe they're in the foster system and they got overlooked. Or anything along those lines. Anything that makes us say, oh, because none of that matters. People need food. Jesus said so. There shouldn't be some moral litmus test of whether or not you work or are disabled or are drug free or any other requirement we put on access to food. It shouldn't even require my sympathy because people need food. Jesus said so. In my mind, there actually isn't a lot of nuance to this particular conversation. We can do nuance elsewhere, but not here. People need food. Jesus said so. So, why then is hunger such a pervasive issue both here and around the world? Well, that is a highly nuanced answer with complex layers of sin and depravity to navigate. But let me just say this: there is enough food, we just don't have the will to feed people. You know what we do have the will for? Making money. And giving food away doesn't make any money, nor should it, because the household of God isn't about having money. It's about loving people, and that's simply not lucrative. Well, it is, but not monetarily. So this week, I'm not giving you a challenge or fancy closing remarks because I don't have one. I just wish we were more about and for each other, the hungry, the thirsty, the naked, the homeless, the imprisoned, than anything else. Like, I wish we had the Christian will to overcome our political and capitalist aspirations, to vote for people who just want to feed and house and not imprison people, to start or work for companies who work to end nakedness, to use what means we do have to help, help, help. As we say in our dinner time prayers at my house, help, help, help. So, peace, my friends. Find the discussion guide in the notes, and I will see you next week.